Imagine waking up each morning beneath a heavy quilt of silence, where every thread is woven with the weight of unshed tears. You move through your days like a ghost, unseen in the world's bustling crowd, clutching the invisible chains of a storm you never asked for. The air around you is thick with the echo of your own heartbeat, a relentless drum, reminding you of the life you're meant to be living, but somehow, it always slips through your fingers like dry sand. You've become an expert at wearing smiles like armor, a master of the art of nodding at the right moments, of laughing at jokes that leave you cold. It's an exhausting performance, a play with no audience, and the stage lights never dim. You're the star of a show that no one else seems to notice, trapped in a role you didn't audition for. Your mind is a crowded room, filled with the whispers of past failures, the taunting of missed chances. The future is a fog, dense and impenetrable, and the present is a tightrope stretched thin over an abyss of uncertainty. It's as if you're standing at a window, watching the world move on without you, each day a reminder of what you're not. In this silent chaos, you've learned to find comfort in the predictable agony of solitude, a twisted kinship with the shadows that follow you. The walls of your heart have grown thick with the ivy of self-doubt, each leaf a testament to the times you betrayed your own desires, choosing instead the path of least resistance. You've become a stranger to yourself, a silhouette of what once was, lost in the labyrinth of your own making. There's a strange relief in the familiar ache, a peculiar solace in the numbness that creeps in like a slow tide, washing over the jagged rocks of your unfulfilled dreams. You've stopped reaching out, stopped hoping for a lifeline, content to let the waves of resignation carry you to wherever they please. The rebellion of hope has long since been quelled, leaving a quiet resignation in its place. Yet, somewhere deep within the layers of your weary soul, there's a flicker. A small, stubborn flame that refuses to be extinguished, a whisper of a time when you believed in possibilities. It's a distant memory now, a faded photograph in the album of your mind, tucked away behind the pages of disappointment. But it's there, waiting, a silent promise that everything changes when you stop forcing the pieces to fit. You stand at the edge of this precipice, the winds of change whispering a song you've forgotten how to hear. There's a part of you that longs to listen, to let the melody guide you back to the person you once were, to the life you were meant to embrace. You linger, torn between the comfort of the known and the terror of the unknown, unsure of which way to turn. And in that moment of hesitation, you can almost hear the question echoing in the quiet, what if you let go? There was a time when the weight of everything felt unbearable, like carrying a mountain on my shoulders. I think many of us have been there, in that place where every step seems heavier than the last. But what if in the midst of this struggle, there is something more? This isn't about healing in the way we often imagine it, it's not a journey of fixing or patching up the broken parts. It's about stopping, just for a moment, to truly see the shape of our suffering. Imagine you're sitting at a small cafe, the kind where the chairs are mismatched and the air is filled with the scent of fresh coffee. Through the window, you watch the world rush by, each person a blur of their own stories and struggles. You're lost in your own thoughts, a storm of what-ifs and why-nots. Then, in the middle of this chaos, a stranger sits across from you, their eyes meeting yours for just a second. It's a moment of unexpected stillness. They offer a small, genuine smile. Just a smile, nothing more. But in that fleeting connection, you glimpse something profound. It's as if, for a brief moment, you're not alone in your solitary storm. The pain is still there, but so is a new awareness that others are journeying through their own. There's a story about someone who felt their world crumble one evening when they received a letter they weren't expecting. It was a simple piece of paper, with simple words that shattered their illusion of what they thought they knew. Heartbreak, raw and unfiltered, poured out of those lines. But as they sat there, holding that letter, something shifted. It wasn't a grand revelation or a sudden change of heart. It was more like the slow, gentle dawning of a quiet truth. They realized that this pain had a history, a lineage of emotions and choices that led to this point. And in that lineage, there was meaning. Not the kind that makes everything okay or erases the hurt, but a meaning that whispers, this is part of your story, and it's okay to feel it deeply. It's a strange thing, isn't it? How we search so desperately for healing, for the end of our suffering, and yet, when we stop forcing it, when we just let ourselves be, the world opens up in unexpected ways. This isn't about finding a solution. It's about acknowledging that even in our darkest moments, there's a thread of connection, a shared humanity that binds us to others. In those moments of surrender, when we stop trying to force things to be better, we might just find that the pain has its own kind of beauty. It tells a story, one that's uniquely ours, written in the ink of our experiences and tears. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough to bring a sense of peace. If these words are helping you name something that's been silent inside you, you're not alone. Join us by subscribing. We're walking this path together. In the dim light of a late afternoon, the world seems to exhale. Shadows lengthen across the floor, stretching like fingers that reach but never grasp. The air is thick with a silence that isn't empty, but full, a kind of pause that presses gently against the skin, whispering of things unspoken. A man sits alone in a room cluttered with the echoes of a life lived at the edge of itself. Papers are strewn across a desk, their corners curling like tired leaves. A single lamp bathes the space in a warm glow, a solitary guardian against the encroaching evening. The room is neither large nor small, but it holds the weight of days measured in size and glances away from mirrors. On the wall, an old clock ticks softly, each second a soft reminder of time slipping by. It's a steady rhythm, a heartbeat that doesn't pause even when everything else seems to. The hands move with a certainty he has long forgotten how to feel. He watches them, mesmerized by their simplicity, their persistence. Beside him, a cup of tea sits untouched, steam rising in delicate tendrils that vanish before reaching the ceiling. It's a symbol of forgotten warmth, a promise made and left unfulfilled. He wraps his fingers around it, feeling the heat seep into his skin, not to drink, but to connect. The tea is no longer about quenching thirst, but about being present, about acknowledging the quiet comfort of its transient warmth. The window is cracked open, and a breeze stirs the curtains in a gentle dance. Outside, the world continues, indifferent to his stillness. The rustle of leaves, the distant hum of traffic, the occasional bark of a dog, they weave together a tapestry of life that feels both foreign and familiar. He's aware of it all, yet remains apart, as if watching from the shore while others swim. In this sacred pause, he listens not just with his ears, but with something deeper. The solitude isn't lonely, it's a companion that sits silently by his side. There's a peculiar peace in the absence of movement, a calm that doesn't demand answers or direction. The room holds its breath alongside him, a sanctuary where the rush and roar of the outside world are muffled, where time stretches and bends around the quiet. Here, in this moment, there is no expectation, no pressure to mend or to be mended. Just the soft, slow realization that perhaps he doesn't need to force the pieces back together. His gaze falls on a small, worn-out music box on the shelf, a relic of childhood, a keeper of memories wrapped in dust. He reaches for it, hesitating for a heartbeat before winding it up. The melody spills out, notes tumbling over one another in a gentle cascade. It's a song of innocence, of dreams once held close and then set aside. As the tune plays, he closes his eyes, letting the music wash over him. The sound is imperfect, a little off-key, but it carries something pure, something that resonates within the quiet spaces of his heart. It's a lullaby for the weary, a gentle reminder that not everything needs to be fixed to be beautiful. The notes fade into silence, lingering in the air like the last breath of a whisper. He opens his eyes, feeling the weight of everything and nothing all at once. The room remains unchanged, yet something within him shifts, ever so slightly. A decision not yet made, a step not yet taken, but the beginning of something new. In the stillness, he sits and listens to the quiet, a tender, fragile moment where the world holds its breath with him. There's a moment when you stop trying so hard to be okay, and in that release, something shifts. It's like standing in the eye of a storm, where the world is still swirling around, but for the first time, you can see clearly. The chaos hasn't disappeared, but somehow, it feels less like an enemy. There's a quiet acceptance that maybe, just maybe, the struggle was never about fixing what was broken, but about understanding that some pieces of you were never meant to fit into a perfect picture. Once, the idea of not being enough was like a weight on your shoulders, pressing you down. But what if that exhaustion isn't a sign of failure, but a testament to the fact that you've been carrying too much for too long? There's a strange steadiness in acknowledging that you don't have to hold everything together. It's not about giving up, it's about letting go of the need to control what was never yours to begin with. In the silence of this realization, there's a question that emerges, gentle yet piercing. What if not having all the answers is the most honest thing you've ever done? It's a question that doesn't demand an immediate response but invites you to sit with it, to let it settle into the spaces where you've always tried to fill with certainty. The pain that once felt unbearable now sits with you like an old companion. It still aches, but the sharp edges have softened. You start to see that grief, in its way, is sacred. It's a testament to love, to connection, to the parts of life that were real and true. The shadows that once seemed to swallow you whole now reveal a depth you hadn't noticed before. They are the contours of your humanity, the lines that tell your story. There's no grand gesture, no dramatic change. Just a quiet understanding that being seen starts with seeing yourself. That the invisible thread connecting you to others is woven through the shared experiences of loss, joy, fear, and hope. You begin to trust in the process of becoming, rather than rushing to the end. If this touched something quiet inside you, I'd be honored to hear what it stirred. Leave a comment, if you feel like sharing. We're all walking through something. There's a moment, in the stillness of night, when the world holds its breath. It's a pause, a gentle suspension, where nothing is asked of you, and the weight you carry feels momentarily lighter. Imagine sitting on a weathered bench in a quiet park, the air cool and crisp, the trees whispering secrets older than the earth itself. It's here, in this tender silence, that you find yourself not needing to be anything other than what you are. It's not about fixing or mending, but about being present with your own incompleteness. This is the kind of quiet where thoughts soften, and the edges of your heart feel less sharp. You realize that the pieces of you that once felt jagged are simply parts of a story still being written. There's a comfort in knowing that you don't have to hurry to find the ending. Beneath the moon's pale glow, shadows stretch across the ground like old friends, familiar and unhurried. They remind you of all the times you've sat alone, feeling the cold seep into your bones, wondering if the warmth would ever return. Yet, here you are, breathing in the night air, feeling its gentle embrace. You start to notice the subtle beauty in the quiet moments. The way the wind rustles the leaves, how the distant sound of laughter echoes like a lullaby, and how the stars flicker like forgotten dreams waiting to be remembered. These are the small things that stitch the fabric of your being back together, not with force, but with patience. There's no rush. No pressure to find answers that don't yet exist. The path you walk is yours alone, and it winds through landscapes both familiar and strange. With each step, you learn to trust the ground beneath your feet, even when it seems to disappear into the mist. It's in this trust that you find a new kind of freedom, one that doesn't demand perfection, but embraces the uncertainty of becoming. Sitting there, you begin to understand that the silence isn't empty, it's full of possibility. It's a canvas where you can paint your fears and hopes, knowing that they'll be met with compassion rather than judgment. This is the quiet companionship that asks nothing of you but to simply be. And as you sit in this calm, you realize that the pain you carry is not a burden, but a testament to your humanity. It connects you to others, to those who have walked similar paths and felt the same ache. You're not alone in this quiet. There's a shared understanding that doesn't need words, it's felt in the spaces between the silences. This is where the change happens, not in grand gestures or sudden epiphanies, but in the gentle acceptance of what is. You allow yourself to be held by the night, knowing that it too will pass, ushering in a new dawn. It's a slow dance with the unknown, one that asks you to surrender and, in doing so, find peace. If this reached something quiet inside you, you can like the video, so someone else might feel less alone, too. In the quiet, where the world pauses its relentless march, we find ourselves. Not in the grand gestures or the triumphant moments, but in the spaces between, where silence cradles our weary hearts. Here, we learn to witness the story etched in scars, not as a map of where we've been, but as a testament to the life we've lived. The echoes of our struggles do not define us, they remind us of our capacity to endure, to feel deeply, and to connect profoundly. In the stillness, we discover that healing is not a destination, but a gentle unfolding of acceptance. It's in these moments of pause where we stop chasing the elusive concept of being fixed. We begin to understand that the cracks we bear are not flaws to be hidden, but openings through which the light of our true self shines. When we cease forcing healing, we allow life to move through us naturally, with all its messiness and unpredictability. The hardest part is realizing that we were never broken, just beautifully unfinished. As we stand here, together yet apart, we hold space for all that is unresolved. We breathe in the uncertainty, and with each exhale, we release the need to have it all figured out. Life, in its vastness, does not demand answers, it invites us to dance with the questions. And in this dance, we find grace. The most profound change begins when we stop seeing our pain as something to be vanquished and start embracing it as a companion on our journey. It whispers of our humanity, connects us to the shared experience of being. We are not alone in this, we walk with countless others who have felt the same ache, the same longing. Together, we hold a mirror to the tender parts of ourselves and see them reflected in the eyes of another. In this sacred space, let us rest. Let us feel the weight lift as we acknowledge that the search for perfection is over. We have arrived at a place where we can simply be, without judgment, without expectation. Here, healing becomes a gentle acceptance of who we are, right now, in this very moment. The heartache of trying to be whole fades, replaced by the gentle realization that we were never meant to be anything but who we are. And in this understanding, we find our peace. If this reached something quiet inside you, you can like the video, so someone else might feel less alone, too. Thank you for watching. Be part of our community by subscribing to the channel. See you in the next video.